don't feel I'm coping. I said to someone last week, I think, I said, how you doing? And they said, oh, we're coping. And I said, no, the warehouse can cope. You know, the sales guys and whatever, you can't just cope, you've got to get ahead of this. Oh God, yeah, I'm flattered you think I'm coping. How do you cope? I suppose for me, there's a few, I mean, it's sound really dull. I get as much sleep as I can, not enough, but if I don't get my sleep, I'm terrible. I really try and make sure I stay training. Training's important. I think it helps maintain my sanity, and I do try and train, pretty hard. Seem to be permanently injured lately, so training and sleeping. And I do try and I keep on top of my nutrition. I do have a lot of supplements, but I do supplements for exactly that. They're a supplement. I try and get as much nutrition as I can through food. So everyone will tell you here I'm always eating. Eating, sleeping, and training, I think, is my foundation. If I keep those consistent, I'm generally in a fairly good place. I try and manage my stress, which I don't do very well. Known for a rant. I've got a device on my watch which monitors stress. So if it gets too high, I just try and get it back down again. I think that's probably about it. I think that's probably the most important stuff. And I do try and find time for myself. It's hard. I'm into my flying and shooting and stuff. So at the weekends, I try and switch off a bit. If I don't have a weekend and switch off, I'll pay for it on Monday morning. You've got to come back in, hopefully, pretty neutral from the week before, and generally by Friday night. I spend Friday nights, I go for a sauna and I sit and I go through all my socials, all my messages, all my emails for the week, just see if I missed anything, and I just try and start Monday morning with a clear head. If I don't do that, you're on a back foot. So what I would like to do, I've got 8 shotguns and 1 plane. So I'd like to put 4 shotguns under each wing, and then and I think there's a way of improving this. I think on the back of a 4x4 on the ground, probably on an airfield or somewhere potentially, having a trap that shoots clays, and then you race the 4x4 down the runway, firing flurries of clays into the air. I swoop down, and then you have a trigger where you can unleash 8 shotguns in one go, and then see if you can hit stuff. I haven't got a name for it, but I think it would take off. It's sort of like a new extreme sport. I've also got the idea of combining shotgun shooting, clay pigeon shooting with skydiving. So same idea as before, but in the air.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, what advice would I give me 10 years ago? Definitely don't do this interview. What else would I do? Actually, I was asked this the other week. There are certain people I wouldn't hire. Probably me. No, I would hire me. Certain people I wouldn't hire that aren't here now. But there's a few of those. There's probably a few products I wouldn't launch. Just everything's always done well, but certain products have perhaps been a bit of a distraction, have taken us a bit down a rabbit hole. So there's probably a few SKUs I wouldn't launch. I think that's about it really, because it's hard to say. It's a different landscape now than it was 10 years ago. We jumped on social media pretty quickly. There's perhaps a few, again, there's perhaps some social media channels we wouldn't have perhaps bothered with. That again, perhaps a bit of a distraction. But otherwise, I think it's hard to look back now and think, because things have worked fairly well, so it's hard to look back and say what wouldn't I do, but I think those are the main ones. It's a bloody nightmare, the dynamic, and I'm allowed to say that. We were asked, we get this a lot, we were asked it yesterday actually. It is honestly the best and the worst thing. So there's no way we'd have been able to do what we've done if we hadn't have had the two of us, because we've always had this bit of a synergy where 1 + 1, and you're accountants, you'll know this, 1 + 1 = 6. So everyone knows that. So we definitely have been, I think, inspirational for each other, motivational for each other. So coming home at night, if you both had separate jobs and then you didn't understand what was going on at work, as in Grenade, if one of us was in Grenade, one of us wasn't, and one of us was working, the other one came home, they'd be like, oh, what are you doing after? We'll leave that, let's go and do something else, watch a film, have dinner. Because we both came in from Grenade, and we've got our workloads, we both just work, and I think because one of us does, the other one does. I'm not saying that that's good, but we got a lot more done by doing things in evenings, weekends at home, talking about the brand constantly. So although we built the brand in, call it 8 years or whatever, we've probably put 16 years worth of work in, just by working twice as many hours as anyone else. And I think if we weren't husband and wife, you couldn't do that. There's pros and cons with that. The cons being we have no life outside of Grenade. So we always say it was very much a hobby that turned into an obsession, but hence the best thing and the worst thing. I did a talk at the business show last year, and I had a half-hour slot on the radio first, and then I did the half hour, and they said, is there any chance you can talk for another half an hour? I said, absolutely not, I'll talk all day. So we did an hour, and then I did my half hour on stage, which turned into an hour, and then the next guy was coming on stage, and people wouldn't leave. And it was a bit weird, because I'm not well known in the slightest, I've got no interest in being well known. But all these people followed me back to my car asking questions. And I went to the loo, and they came in the toilet, and it was a bit weird. It's quite flattering, but it was a bit weird. So I got my first glimpse of actually being famous. I didn't like it. That was a bit strange. But I was trying to get off stage, and they were saying, look, that's it now, we're done. And people just kept finding more and more questions. That was a bit odd.